Past this fence is a slice of South Louisiana wild space. It's a subtropical forest mixed with a little bit of prairie and some hardwood hammocks. There's some wetlands.
It's full of beautiful trees. You can see migratory waterfowl.
Lots of lagoons, lots of birds, egrets, pelicans.
What we saw after Katrina was a proliferation of species that hadn't been around for maybe 30 or 40 years.
It was a night-crowned blue heron.
I've seen owls there, I've seen snakes, I've seen alligators.
I remember this one time a raccoon just walked up on us.
And it's magical. I mean, look at these live oaks.
Some of the most beautiful oaks in the city.
I really like the flowers and the grass. I see some small blue ones, and they're really pretty.
In one of the trees right above my head, there was an anhinga. It was sitting up there with its wings spread out, drying its wings right above me. It was just a really magical moment, but also just an ordinary day in this part of the park, because that's what happens in this part of the park. It's people and wildlife sharing a space together.
On any given day, you would see hundreds of people if you just sat there and counted from dawn to dusk. You'd see people doing all kinds of interesting things.
Go on adventure runs, sort of get lost, go exploring.
When I go out there, I'll see people walking their dogs, riding their bicycles, laying, having a picnic.
I write here, I sit by the water and play my banjo sometimes.
Been organizing a boat parade that happens during Carnival.
Last weekend I was out here kayaking with my dog that's running around there.
And I sit down and I do a lot of drawing and meditating.
When I visit this area, I tend to bring my daughter, and we like to walk around and explore a wild area.
This is a great learning space.
She saw her first alligator here.
My wife and the kids, they're out here every Saturday pretty much.
I teach elementary school kids, so I feel like I have 178 children that I would like to experience that also.
What about our dogs? We walk our dogs over here.
We walk Ursi and Poppy and Snoopy.
He loved it because I could let him loose, and he was a water dog, so he loved jumping in the bayous, and he'd run around with me.
This is one of the only areas where people can bring their animals out to get some healthy exercise and also to train them.
This is kind of like the only area that I know of for him to actually be able to run around and explore. And he's a puppy, so he has a lot of energy.
The appeal is that it's like no other space that we have in New Orleans, that it's completely wild.
It's a pressure release valve for those of us who live in some of the harder parts of the city.
Katrina was a while ago, but we are still recovering, and with us recovering, we need things like this. We need those spaces.
Because we're still biological units. We don't belong just always in paved places. We still have an urge inside of our hearts to be outdoors, to run, to swim, to feel the wind on our faces in the sun.
Having something like this in the city where you don't have to drive anywhere is just solid gold.
A wilderness space in New Orleans is at a premium, and it's about 40-minute drive to Barataria Preserve, which is the other area we could access easily.
There's 250 acres of completely unspoiled land that is utilized every day by all kinds of New Orleanians.
And when the fences came up, we just cried, literally.
It's we got to where we thought we were going to run, and there was just a fence there. And then everywhere we ran, where it was usually open on both sides, there was just fences and fences and fences. So it was really sad.
People just got so much out of this open space that losing it is heartbreaking.
I realized that they were going to turn the place where one of my best friends and I used to share a really important time together. I couldn't stand it.
My quality of life will not be anywhere near the same as what it was before, and I know that is true for hundreds and hundreds of other people as well.
I think for the creativity, the imagination, need to recover from the challenge of living anywhere and the challenge of living in New Orleans. I think that not having such a wild and open place is going to hurt us all.
We're losing our Gulf Coast football fields per day. And so trying to preserve a green space like this I think is very important.
The greatest loss is the educational aspect, because I don't know where else Orleans Parish children could go to learn about indigenous species and see a functioning bioregion.
It's the construction that's going to take 2.5, 3 years at least is going to cause the wildlife, and specifically the birds, to just go find another home.
In a state that likes to market itself as a sportsman's paradise. The fact that we would give up a wilderness space for a golf course, this seems really vile.
It is the exact opposite of what this city is all about.
And against what we stand for as a state that embraces the outdoors.
To have a golf course just doesn't seem right.
I think it's very immoral to get rid of something that benefits a huge portion of the population for the sake of a few wealthy people.
It takes up an extensive amount of space for relatively a few people who enjoy golfing.
I understand that the city park is a private organization and that it needs revenue, but this idea that a golf course will immediately start generating revenue is, I think, it's a false impression. There are golf courses in English Turn, in Jefferson Parish, and the North Shore, and the people who will pay $250 tee fees aren't going to come to the city of New Orleans to play.
Is a project of this size worth some sort of profit, maybe 30 years down the line?
Beyond the fact that you're destroying a wilderness area, which isn't a small thing, you're also potentially creating a boondoggle that might really financially cripple the park.
The number of people who are using it now is going to be equal, if not greater, than the golf course after it's been open for 5 years.
The golf course is expensive to create, and the only thing that outstrips that expense is maintenance. Whereas a network of trails is something that could be quite cheaply maintained. It's something that I think the city could enter into a partnership with, say, the Nature Conservancy or the Sierra Club.
If I were going to make a statement to the individuals who are in charge of constructing this course, I would say think about the people, think about the city.
I know what to ask them. I'd say, why did you put this fence up anyway?
I think you should take the opportunity while you have it to yourselves to take a long walk out here. I don't think that they knew that people were so in love with that space. And I don't think that they themselves have gone out there and seen what it is.
I would ask them, please take it down. I really like seeing flowers here and birds.
What is more important at this point, like profit or what the people of the city want?
I wanted to go back in and walk over there and see if I could see some more birds.
Consider the cost here, not just the financial, but the civic cost of taking a piece of land that, even if it's not technically public, is regarded as public by the city.
This belongs to all of us, and we can't just hand it over to some folks with big money.
I would ask them to think about whether taking away something that brings so much joy to so many families in New Orleans is really worth whatever limited revenue they're going to be able to pull from this golf course. That's what I would ask them to think about.
And ask yourself if that's what's best for your city.